Hey there, it's Marley, and today I'm going to be doing the mid-year book freakout tag. So the mid-year book freakout tag is a tag that most people on BookTube do halfway through the year. It's a way to have a little reading check-in, talk about your favorite books you've read so far and your hopes for the rest of the year, that kind of thing. I've been doing this on my channel ever since I started. But yeah, let's just get right into the tag, shall we? So the first question is, what is the best book you've read so far in 2025? I feel like a lot of the times I'll list like multiple books for this question, but I'm gonna try to only say one, my most favorite book, and that's gonna be Hellbent by Leigh Bardugo. This is a second book in the Ninth House series, or the Alex Stern series. I feel like I've touted this series a lot on my channel, so I don't want to get too repetitive, but this is an adult fantasy series. I don't read a ton of adult fantasy, but this one is also like dark academia vibes because our main character Alex goes to Yale University and she actually works for them in one of the secret societies. And the reason that she works there is she has kind of this special power that Yale wants and a special reason why she's so valuable to them. There's ghosts in this book, there's magic, as you can imagine, hell, and a lot of like dark witchy things going on. It's just such a vibe if you're into that kind of stuff. I just love it. And the cherry on top of this series is also the characters. Like, not just is the plot and the occult vibes really cool, but the characters are great. They're so funny and so lovable, and the relationships between these characters now, building on them even more in this sequel. There's a lot of found family. It's just so good. This would probably be the best book I read this year. Question number 2 is, what's the best sequel you've read so far in 2025? Obviously Hellbent was a sequel, but I do have another one that I loved, and that is The Ragpicker King by Cassandra Clare. This is the second book in the Chronicles of Castellane series, which is another adult fantasy series. The first book was Swordcatcher, and I also gave this one 5 stars, just like the first one. I'm very into this series, and I feel like it is a bit underrated. I don't see a ton of people talking about it, but in this book we have Kel, who is the Swordcatcher, aka he is like the prince's guard in this world, the Prince of Castellane. He's like his bodyguard, but also his best friend, and through his perspective we learn a lot about kind of the politics of this world, the royalty that they have, and the scheming that there is going on here. But then we also are hearing from a character named Lynn, who is one of the Ashkar people, and they're one of the only people left with magic in this world because magic has been like destroyed generally, but Lynn still is a part of this group that does have some magic, and both of these characters end up getting wrapped up in kind of the darker side of Castellane. They start working with the Ragpicker King. I've said before, but I'll say it again, especially in this second book, it was really giving Six of Crows vibes. If you are into that, I would recommend this series. A bunch of kind of ragtag criminals, a bunch of people, a bunch of friends kind of going on these different heists together and working together with Cassandra Clare's typical great writing of romances and characters. Not as funny as some of her other books, like her Shadowhunter books have a lot more humor to them, but I'm still really enjoying this series. Question 3 is a new release that you haven't read yet but want to, and of course there's so many things I could mention for this one, but one of them is going to be Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I obviously love TJR books. Mostly I give them 5 stars, so the fact that she had a new release, I definitely want to get to that soon. I know this one has to do with NASA, or like astronauts at least. She always tends to write about some sort of famous kind of profession. She's written about musicians, actors, famous athletes, and so now I think it's really interesting that she's going into space, even though that's not a topic I necessarily am interested in. I mean, I didn't consider myself interested in tennis either, but loved Carrie Soto is back, so definitely excited to check this one out and see what she does with it. There's also The Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping by Sangu Mandana. I read her first witchy book last year, Secret Society of something witches, now I'm forgetting, but it was such a cute, cozy, like witchy fantasy romance book. I know a lot of people loved it, and I agree. I agreed with that sentiment. So she's come out with another book. I think it's kind of in the same world, so definitely looking forward to reading that one too. Question 4 is most anticipated release for the second half of the year. Now originally I had this listed because I thought it didn't come out till July for some reason, is what I had marked down, but it actually did already come out, and that is With a Vengeance by Riley Sager. I'm still gonna mention it even though it's already out, but I'm gonna be reading it in July. So I'm just so excited because Riley's one of my favorite authors. I love his thrillers, I love his writing, and this one takes place on a train and is like a closed door mystery who's like killing people on the train. Obviously that's a trope we've seen done before, but I'm really excited to see his take on it. And then of course Holly Jackson's new book that's coming out also in July, Not Quite Dead Yet. This is a young adult thriller I'm really pumped for. It is about a girl who is trying to solve her own murder because she gets attacked and then she knows she's going to die in probably about a week because she's gonna have this like brain aneurysm or something. So she's trying to figure out who like attempted to kill her in the time that she has left. And I don't know if I've ever given a Holly book less than 5 stars, so really excited about this one too. Next question on a more negative note is what has been the biggest disappointment? One of the books I've been disappointed in, although I kind of expected it, was Not in Love by Ali Hazelwood. I've enjoyed Ali Hazelwood's rom-coms so much in the past, like Check and Mate, The Love Hypothesis. These are some of my favorite romances that I've read. I love her humor and just think her couples can be very cute. But picking up Not in Love, it definitely is a different tone for her. It's a bit more serious. We had the male point of view, which I don't think has ever done before. It was smuttier than typical as well. So it just was not the romance for me. And so it kind of sucks because it seems like she's going in that direction of having more books like that. I think Deep End is kind of a similar vibe of more serious and more smutty. I'm not sure. But this was a little bit of a disappointment for me, unfortunately. Another book I found slightly disappointing was Bunny by Mona Awad. I still rated it 3.5 stars, and it is one that has been sticking with me a little bit more. I feel like I have positive thoughts about it, but I know when I read it in the moment, I was a little bit disappointed that it wasn't like a 5-star and didn't blow my mind, just because it's so hyped up on BookTube. And then one other one I was a little disappointed in was Cultish by Amanda Montell. This is a nonfiction kind of talking about the language of cults. I had heard good things about it. I was interested, and I'm not normally that interested in nonfiction, so you know, this one stood out to me, but then it ended up being a 3-star. Like, I just wish it had kind of been better. So these are a couple disappointments. On the other end of the spectrum, what has been the biggest surprise so far this year? A surprise for me has definitely been Magnolia Parks by Jessa Hastings. I've talked about this book a little bit, but it is like a romance drama book, very similar to something like Gossip Girl, where we're following these rich people in the UK and their different dramatic kind of relationships, mainly Magnolia and BJ. They were childhood friends, they dated as teens, but they've just been having so much drama, like cheating and hurting each other. Typically I would not like a romance like that. I would prefer to read about like a healthier relationship, but I just think I'm in more of an era of like enjoying the mess and just having fun with watching these dramatic characters. I've also been really into watching shows like this, watching teen drama, relationship shows, so I just think I really enjoy that kind of thing. Another romance I was surprised to enjoy so much is 4 Weekends and a Funeral by Ellie Palmer, just because I hadn't heard of this romance before someone suggested it to me, but it was quite a cute romance. It's about this girl whose ex-boyfriend dies and then she agrees to like help clean up his apartment, pack it up, but another person that's helping with that is this guy's best friend. So it's a bit of this forced proximity where they're working in this house together. It's pretty awkward between them because there's been this person that passed away, so there's a bit of forbidden romance there as well, and Grumpy Sunshine, and it just was a really cute dynamic with really good tension. Next question, favorite new author. So really quick, I don't feel like there's any author I've read like multiple books from that is a new favorite, but as I was mentioning, Jessa Hastings, who wrote Magnolia Parks, I feel like she is a potential new favorite author. I just need to read more of the Magnolia Parks series, but I definitely liked her writing in this first book. Another author I'm really interested in reading more from is Ava Reid, because I read A Study in Drowning. This was a young adult like fantasy gothic book that I just really loved the vibes of, and I thought it was a very unique story. So I definitely would like to read more from Ava. And then another one would maybe be Lane Fargo. Again, I only read one book from her so far, and that was The Favorites, but this is one of the books I gave 5 stars to so far this year. There hasn't been a lot of them. I've been giving out actually quite a few 4.5s as well, but this is one that I, again, similar to Magnolia Parks, thought was so messy, so interesting. I was invested in the drama, even if the characters were unlikable real and really frustrated me. I just was sucked in the whole time, so I'd definitely be interested in reading more from her. Next question is a little silly, but it's new favorite like fictional crush. I guess it would just be some of the heroes from some of the romances I read. So The Paradise Problem by Christina Lauren is one of my favorite romances that I read this year. It was so funny and such a cute romance about these two people who kind of had like a marriage of convenience when they were in college, but the main girl thought that they had since divorced, but it turns out they were not legally divorced yet. So then he asked her to go on this family trip with him so that he can have a girlfriend and his parents can stop like nagging him and stuff. So I guess the hero in this book was pretty cute. He was also rich, so love that. Love that in a fictional crush. Another good romance I read recently was Great Big Beautiful Life, or it's kind of literary fiction, I've been saying. The hero in this as well, Hayden, I feel like he's pretty crush worthy too. Even though he starts out so grumpy and kind of rude at the start, I feel like it's always cute to see like a grumpy hero come to love the main heroine in the story. He's a talented writer. He's really caring. So anyways, maybe him. Hey, popping in here because I forgot to answer the favorite new character question. I want to bring up Magnolia Parks again. Magnolia, the main character, definitely a flawed character, but I feel like she was really entertaining to read about and very funny. So definitely enjoyed reading about her character, and so I want to mention her. Another person, of course, I need to mention is Maisie from the new Hunger Games book. She was such a standout character in that book. I love how funny she was and sassy, and I mean, I think everyone would agree that she is the favorite character from that book, the standout character. The other one I kind of want to mention is Lei Nu from the My Brilliant Friend series. She's the main character in that, and again, another very flawed character to follow who can definitely be frustrating to read from. But because this series is so character focused, it's literally a series just about these girls in Italy in like, I think the 50s and 60s, and just really getting into like their life and the challenges that they were dealing with at this time that a lot of women were dealing with. Lei Nu is a character who is pursuing education, even though a lot of the, women around her are becoming mothers and wives. At her age, she is still continuing to go to school and write, and it has been fun following her story, even though, as I said, she definitely has things to work on and still needs to do some growing up and stuff, but those were some favorite characters I wanted to mention. Next question is a book that made you cry. One of the books that made me cry was Everything I Know About Love by Dolly Alderton. This was a nonfiction reflecting on her life and her different relationships and basically what she knows about love. It really was like a friendship story at the end of the day as well. It was quite beautiful, but there was a really sad moment that happened in this book that did make me tear up. Then bringing this book back out, as I was saying before, it was kind of more literary fiction than romance. It dealt a lot with life and family and friendship and loss and just how beautiful life can be. So I feel like by the end, with how everything wrapped up in the story, it was so beautiful that it did make me tear up as well. And lastly, obviously, a book that came out this year is Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne Collins. This was obviously a devastating book to read. It is Haymitch's story from the Hunger Games during his games. It's just obviously really terrible what he goes through. We knew it was going to be based on where he was at in the main trilogy, but obviously this was just devastating and would definitely make you cry. I assume it's going to be most people's answers for this question this year. Okay, now a book that made you happy. I'm going to shout out The Paradise Problem again by Christina Lauren. As I was saying before, such a funny, heartwarming book, a really cute romance with a lot of good tension and banter between the characters. Another romance that really made me happy was a novel, Love Story by Ashley Poston. I think anyone who's really big readers, really big fan of books would love this book and really relate to the main character. In this one, we have a character who, as I said, loves books, especially romance books, and she ends up stumbling upon her favorite romance series. It's like a magical realism thing where she ends up stranded in this town that she reads about, and then she finds a romance there herself. But it was just really heartwarming and definitely made me happy to read. And one last book that made me happy was Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. Whenever I've talked about this book on my channel, I like to not say a lot about it because I didn't know a lot about it going in, and I was very pleasantly surprised by a lot of the aspects of this book. But if you've read it, you know why it definitely can make you happy. I mean, it makes you sad at times as well, but it overall was a very funny funny book and heartwarming, especially with the friendship in this book. So this book could also make you happy. Next up is most beautiful book you've bought or received. I feel like I kind of struggle with this question every year. I don't know. I guess not a lot of books stand out, but I do like all of the covers for the Emily Wilde series. So this year I did buy the second and third book in the series. So Map of the Otherlands and then Compendium of Lost Tales. I think what really stands out to me about these is the fact that they are printed on the hardcover, which I just think is really neat. But I definitely like the little whimsical fairy vibes of these covers. So I guess these would be two of my favorites that I've bought this year. Next question is, what books do you need to read by the end of this year? There's so many, and I feel like every year I say books and I don't necessarily get to them. But I'll hold up the Emily Wilde books again because I read the first book quite a while ago now, and it's like I need to get to the second and third and see what happens in this series. Another one that I think I do have plans to read is Slow Dance by Rainbow Rowell. I loved her books as a teenager. Fangirl and Carry On were some of my favorite books. So this is her first book to come out in years. Plus I heard so many good things about it. So I really want to read this. It's a romance book. I think it's like a second chance romance or like friendships to lovers. Maybe not my favorite tropes ever, but I just really think I'm gonna love it though. Gotta get to it. Another one I'm ashamed to not have read yet is The Grandest Games. I feel like I probably already mentioned this book a lot before, but this is the first book in a new series by Jennifer Lynn Barnes, the author of The Inheritance Games. It takes place in the same world and has some of the Inheritance Games characters in it. But basically the characters from Inheritance Games started this new like competition to give away some of the money from the inheritance. So this is gonna be like following the competition. So I just think I'm gonna love it. I love competition books and riddles and mystery, so need to read it. Then there's the question, favorite videos you've made so far this year. A video that I was proud of was my video where I colored pages based on the books that I read. I was really into coloring earlier in the year. Unfortunately, it's been a minute since I colored, but I really liked that video and how I had dedicated these pages to 3 of my recent reads. So I included like a little review of the book and then just tried to color the pictures based on the books, and I thought that was kind of a unique idea. And then another video I did recently that has been getting a lot more views than usual for my channel is I did a little free library vlog, which is obviously not as unique. A lot of people do this, but I just had never done it and I thought it was really fun, and obviously I'm happy that it's doing well on my channel too. So those are 2 of my favorite videos I've done this year. So that's gonna end the mid-year freakout tag. Hopefully you got some book recommendations. Let me know what your favorite book has been so far that you've read this year, or if you have thoughts on any of the things that I mentioned today. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you've not already, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. I'll see you soon with a brand new video. Bye.